right, so we'll just jump right in. I'll show you the settings afterwards. Don't worry, it's going to be uncut so you can see that those are proper settings. And notice how right away the FPS is constantly pretty much at 90. I mean, it does occasionally drop to a little bit, but it's not by far. And the average FPS is at 84, but this counts from the beginning of the loading screen, and then the loading screen drops the frames down to like 10 to 15 frames. So it does take a lot of time to average this out back to 90. Don't mind the heart rate monitor, it's just a gag from the last episode. I just wanted to show that it is muted and it works without beeping noises. Anyway, so here, notice how everything is set to high. I mean, grandstands, crowd, everything is maxed out basically. And this is running anti-aliasing at 8x, which is unheard of in VR. But what's tripping here is that the GPU temp, the fourth line of the FPS meter, you will see that the GPU usage is at 65%. 60, 65, but it's ridiculous. How is that thing not on 95% running smoking hot? I don't understand this. And it's all maxed out. So the page fault meter from the previous episode, the Troublemaker, you can see the page fault meter next to inside the cockpit next to the wheel. It's constantly on yellow. Well, it's not constantly this time. It's running back and forwards. But I figured out what it is finally. I know exactly what it is. I just don't know how to fix it. It's OBS. Every time I start recording, the page fault meter goes up. So OBS was recording at 100,000 kilobits last time I've recorded, and now it's recording at 50,000, and it still looks like crap. Like what you see inside the Vive Pro looks so much better than what you see right now on the screen. So I'm not really sure on how to solve it. I need to record stuff so I can show you stuff, but then again the page fault meter applies. And it is my understanding that the page fault meter limits some of the graphics. So this is something that I can't wrap my head around right now. Maybe some of the settings are dropped down that allows the GPU usage to be so low. But then again, it does look pretty amazing inside, so it doesn't really appear to be dropping anything down in graphics. The only thing that's, you'll see it later on in replay, the shadows are crooked in the replay, but then again, I think it's because I changed the replay settings just before I was recording, so it didn't apply to the replays. So, yeah, I'll show you now some replay footage, and you'll see what I mean. But again, inside it looks great. Vive Pro never looked as good. Can't really say that it looks better than Pimax. I mean, obviously the resolution of the Pimax is a lot greater. So even though Pimax settings were not maxed out when I recorded it, Pimax looked still better somewhat. So over here you can see the shadows right away. They are crooked. That's my theory. Now that I see it, it's basically, I believe that the settings have not been updated because I needed to restart iRacing for those shadows to take apply, because everything is set to max inside the game, but then now what you see is not really in game, I think. Well, then again, it is kind of, well, I don't know. My knowledge ends here. You feel free to chip in, but yeah, I'll show you the settings this time around in just a second. You will see that the shader quality is set to ultra. Everything is pretty much maxed out. There you go. So notice how the main most importantly to me is that the max cars are set now to 63, which I barely was able to do before. And it doesn't do anything much with the graphics, but it is important for crew chief and other overlays to work properly. So this takes up a lot of resources. So does anti-aliasing at 8x, that's a set, unheard of. And all the way down at shader quality, that's set to ultra, which again is amazing. I'll show you here a screenshot. Okay, so that was some quick testing with iRacing using the Vive Pro and 3080 Founders Edition. Do keep in mind that those settings are all in testing. It's not I cannot guarantee everything that you saw here. Because of the page fault meter problems, I still don't know what's going on in the background of iRacing. Is iRacing lowering some settings that I should be aware of or not? I can't really say it, and I can't really record any other way because I do need OBS. This does take some resources from the VRAM of the 3080, and it does appear to be affecting iRacing somehow. I just cannot really tell for sure how. The only thing that I can tell you is that for sure you will have better performance without OBS. So if you're not recording, if you're not streaming, you shouldn't be all too worried about the VRAM. It does look that you can max out just about anything using a Vive Pro, or in fact any other headset on the market except for the Pimax, because with the Pimax everything is different. The resolution of a Pimax is so much greater that I do have to turn down some settings, and again I can max them out fairly nicely, but I cannot record at the same time because the page fault meter just goes crazy, and I can't tell you for sure what it affects in the settings. Now, having said that, it did look great. I mean, I don't think that it's turning down everything with the page meter, but it does affect probably something. So with that said, I don't know how much more testing I'll be doing with the Vive Pro. I just wanted to throw this out briefly because I know there's a lot of people using Vive or using an Oculus or using whatever you guys are using except for a Pimax. It should handle fine with the 3080. And for those of you who are still on screens, you know, 1920 by 1080, you can get about 400 frames using those exact settings that I was using in the VR right now. So, as said, iRacing is great. I still prefer it to any other sim. This is why it's important to me to get VR working as best as I can. But then again, I can't go back to the Vive Pro after the field of view from the Pimax. Like, I've been using the Pimax the last 2 weeks. Today I've switched back to the Vive Pro for the first time, and it's difficult. It's you know, you see through those small glasses, and you're like, damn, I can't go back to that. So I'm not really sure where to go from here, but I want to try to adjust the Pimax to a set of Corsa Competizione. So if I can get ACC to run nicely with the Pimax 5K Plus, then I will be selling the Vive Pro. But if I can't get there, then it's pointless for me to keep the Pimax because I don't want to switch back and forwards. By the way, switching back and forwards has some issues as well. I'll blend that into the screen right now. You'll be seeing here that in Steam VR, the Vive Pro is somehow recognized at 100% resolution, that the resolution does not match. So you can see the Vive Pro resolution is an entirely different story than what it appears to show here. And this apparently has something to do with the Pimax, or at least that's my theory, that something with the Pimax is messing around with those sliders, that the Steam VR thinks that the Vive has a different resolution than what it actually has. So technically, I am even super sampling the Vive Pro with those settings that you have seen today. So again, none of this stuff is confirmed. I'm not a scientist. I'm not even a VR enthusiast up to that level where I could say, okay, this is for sure the way that I'm showing you. That's exactly what it is. I can't tell you exactly. I cannot promise you. I can only be transparent and show you what I'm seeing. I'm sure there's other people out there that know more than me, but this is what I can share with you for those of you who are interested in the performance of the 3080 in sim racing titles using several VR headsets. And again, the more headsets you have, the more complicated it gets, and those settings, I don't want to mess with those. I want to find one headset that works for me. I doubt that it would be an Index, because I've thought about getting an Index. I can't really say that I will be happy with an Index because the resolution on the Pimax 5K Plus is still greater. The density of the pixels may be a lot better on the index, but then again, it has so much, you know, there's so many pluses and minuses. I don't know where to go with this, because the field of view is what counts for me. I need to see stuff. I don't want to worry about the car on the right by looking to the right. I want to see something on the edge of my eyes. Like I'm fine, it doesn't need to be super sharp, but I do need to feel the sense of speed, and I do need to drive looking straight and still see another car in my peripheral vision. If I can turn into a corner or see an apex, or just know that something is here or something is there, this is what makes the immersion for me. This is what counts for me. I'm not the best driver in the world. In fact, I'm really, really bad, but I need some things, and those are the things that I'm chasing right now. So currently the Pimax is on the best way to go there. Pimax also looks the best with iRacing, and I do care about iRacing the most. ACC looks amazing and it sounds amazing, and I do want to use it. But again, if I cannot get there with the Pimax, I may even have to switch to Pimax. But we'll see. Let's end this episode here. I've again talked way more than I wanted to, but it is somewhat important, and I do, some people wanted this video. So there you have it. Take it with a salt. Me and equipment. All right. Hopefully this all works out. Take care. Bye.